Welcome back to the Yet to Be Named podcast with your host, a rambling redhead. I'm just gonna jump right in. I heard this story about a week ago. I think it happened back in like 2007, of a teenager and his two friends. I believe it was at the San Francisco Zoo, and these kids they were taunting the tiger there. And apparently the two friends were just kind of mildly taunting it. And the one teenage boy was like really giving it to the tiger. And the tiger was not happy about it. And so the kids walk away and the tiger decides to pull like a Madagascar on them. Like, this is it, boys. I'm getting out. And he leaps like 25 feet into the air and manages to like grab the top of his enclosure, and he claws his way out. And apparently this took a couple of minutes. It wasn't immediate, like the kids weren't still standing there. So the tiger like had to run through the zoo, and he was looking for these three kids, and he found them. He just ran by all the innocent bystanders, like didn't pay them any mind at all. Runs through the zoo and he finds them, and he injures the two that like mildly harassed him, but he killed the one that like really upset him. And I don't know, that's insane to me. And after I hear this story about a week ago, my mom is like, "Hey, I got an idea. Let's take your niece and nephew to the zoo." So that's what we did yesterday. We went to the zoo after I heard that story, and we went to Duluth Zoo, and I went there last time. I don't know, I was like, but somewhere between like 14 and 17, and I taunted a monkey. And okay, first off, I didn't know what monkeys do to people, and if you don't, get ready, because apparently if a monkey doesn't like you, for one thing, they're incredibly strong, but they will just like tear off every part of your body, pretty much. I know this is getting a little gruesome, and I apologize for that, but but this is what's going through my mind thinking about this monkey that I taunted last time I was there, because I don't know. It was a monkey in a cage, and it was funny to me. So I was kind of taunting him, and he'd crawl back to the top corner of his enclosure, and he would like flash me, and then he would leap across the entire thing and like bang his fists against the glass and like scream at me. And I thought it was hilarious. But what I didn't know is what that thing wanted to do to me if that glass wasn't in the way, or if the glass broke, or if there's, like a little 3-foot high side door that he snuck out of on the side. So basically I learned not to taunt the animals, because it's possible that they could get out and kill you. So I was a little leery going back, because I thought, what if that one monkey is still there, and he's, just, I don't know, he used like a primitive version of like Apple Face ID, and he's just been waiting for me this whole time. And I don't know, it's like 12 to 15 years ago. What if he's just been digging a tunnel with a spoon out of his little cage there, and he's when he just sees me in my stupid Red Wings hat come around the corner, he moves his little jail cell sink out of the way, and he comes flying out at me. I don't think I'll get to that part later, so we went to the monkey enclosure, and either the monkey doesn't remember me or there's new monkeys there, because I had no qualms with the current monkeys. But we go to the zoo. My parents and niece and nephew, they meet me at my house here in Duluth. And when we leave, for those of you who may not know, Duluth is built on a hill, the whole thing pretty much. And so my house is like 15 feet above the street outside, and there's just kind of like a steep hill with, I don't know, 18 stairs or so. And we go out and we start getting in the car, but my niece and nephew are like rolling down the hill and then running back up and walking down the stairs, and they're not coming to us. My nephew is 8 and my niece is 3. So like my nephew you can get through to him if he understands that you're not messing around, and then he'll listen to you. My niece, on the other hand, right over her head. No matter what you say, no matter what you do. It's she doesn't listen if she doesn't want to. So I get my nephew in the car, and my niece just keeps running up the hill. And then like where I finally had to bring out my uncle voice and draw the line. She ran up the hill and then like stepped down onto the top step and like looked at the railing for about 10 seconds and then stepped to the next step and looked at the railing for 10 seconds. She was just like very methodically and slowly moving down the stairs. So I had to go and pick her up, and she, cried out like, "No!" And so I mocked her and I just went, "Yes!" I don't know, that's the only response I have to her telling me no. So I get her in the car, we go out to eat, and then we go to the zoo, and the kids didn't know we were going to a zoo, but my nephew can read, so he picked up on the signs on the way. And when we get there, there's this like 10-foot fence around the zoo, which, after thinking about it, is to keep people from getting in. Because if it was like a last-ditch effort to keep, an escaped animal from getting out, any of the scary animals can get over that no problem. And any of the animals that can't, you're not worried about those ones anyway, wreaking havoc on the town. So we're walking next to the fence, and my nephew just like walks straight up to him and puts his face on it. He looks down at where the animals are. He's like, "Why can't we go over there?" I was like, "Because there's a fence in the way. What do you mean, why can't we go over there?" So, but obviously it's where the zoo is, so that's where we were going. We go to the ticket booth, and the guy rings us up, and my dad kindly paid for all of us, including me. It was 2 seniors, 2 kids, and 1 normal, as I said. And the total came out to be $54. And when the guy was ringing us up, he said to my dad, "Would you like to round up to $55 and donate $1 to the zoo?" And my dad said, "No." And we get our tickets and we walk away from the front desk there, and my dad says to me, "Donate $1 to the zoo. What are the other 54 for then?" And I mean, he's got a point. So I understand. So we go into the zoo, and you get like a building with a gift shop to the side, and then you walk straight out onto this deck. And I'm thinking, all right, I just gotta figure out before we get to the tiger how to tell these kids not to taunt them. So we'll start out with something small, like some billy goats or something, and I'll say, "Oh, you be nice to animals. You don't want to taunt animals." We walk out onto this deck. First thing, you look over the edge of the deck. It's like a 30-foot drop into a tiger pit. And before I could explain to the kids, like, "Hey, don't mess with animals," my nephew is at like the closest point he can get without jumping over any barricades or anything like that. He's looking down at this tiger that's just laying in the sun on his side. He just goes, "Hey!" Like, no, don't mess with the tiger. He's like, "Why not? You can't get out." And he just goes, "Hey!" I'm like, "Jackson, stop." Don't mess with the tiger. And I also, obviously you don't want to scare the kids, because the likeliness of one of the animals getting out are slim, but they're not impossible. But you don't want to scare the kids, because then the very first thing we see, you don't want them to want to leave right away. So I talked to the kids about not taunting the animals. And we go on. Let's see. The next thing we saw, I believe we saw some birds, and then there was this wolf enclosure. And I saw a wolf like take off into the corner. He's like, "Oh, he must hate people." And but then he came back up to the front, and he was running back and forth, and he was like doing laps. And he apparently did them so often that he like had created a path in the ground at his feet. And at his feet, by his feet. Which is kind of sad, because he only had about like 50 yards in either direction to run. So he's kind of just trotting around. He's not a full-on sprint. And my niece started running back and forth with the wolf, and it was kind of cute. It's like, hey, she's racing it, and she's actually kind of keeping up, because he's just barely trotting along. And I thought, yeah, maybe this wolf, he's used to people. He likes people. He likes to entertain them. And then I thought, no, he's probably just trying to think of like, how can I get out there to eat that little girl? But it was cool to see a wolf like that, and my niece was having a good time, and so was the nephew. It is interesting if you ever get a chance to take like an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old to a zoo. You will get to see the like most immediate spikes and falls of an attention span's possibility, because they will be absolutely amazed, and then they will be like laying on the ground just staring at the sky wanting to go home in 2 seconds. I don't get it, but that's apparently what can happen to their minds at this age. So not a lot happens at the zoo. We see a lot of different animals, which is cool. And when we go to leave, my nephew wants to go through that gift shop. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, a gift shop was like, for whatever reason, was just like 50% glass stuff. It was like a trap for making touring parents pay for what their kids broke. And so when they wanted to go into the gift shop, I told them like, okay, we can go in there, but you can't touch anything, and I mean anything, without talking to me. And they're like, all right. And I was like, hey, listen to me. And I, turned the little blonde girl's head towards me. I was like, don't touch anything unless I say it's okay. And they said, okay. My nephew runs in. My niece right behind him. I'm not even in the door yet. I'm still outside of the gift shop, and my niece is like, she's in like the doorway. 1 foot in the store, 1 foot out. And I see her little hand lift up like at the side, like her elbows bent, and it's kind of like a bicyclist, signing that they're about to turn right, or like a tactical, maneuver, like a fist, like telling someone behind you silently using hand motions, like telling them to stop. And she just brings up her little fist, and one finger, her index finger, just raises slowly. It was like the dramatic motions of like Thanos before he does the snap. And she raises one little finger, reaches out, pokes literally the first thing in the door. It's this little stuffed wolf, so no harm. But it was utter defiance. She pokes the first thing in the door, and without breaking stride, she just looks over her shoulder at me like, what are you going to do about it? So I reached out and I take her by the arm, and there's this girl behind the counter. She's like, hey, how you doing? I was like, I gotta go discipline a kid. And I pick up my niece, and when I pick her up, just instant tears. By her, not me. And I take her out into the lobby, and she's just crying, and I say, well, I told you not to touch anything. And so I settle her down, and she agrees not to touch anything again, and we go in. And it turns out that most of it was, for kids. It was stuffed animals and like plush backpacks and little toys and whatnot. So it was fine for her to touch most of it. She did at one point like hand me a shot glass. I was like, thank you, don't touch that. But it was like shot glasses and a few mugs, and that was basically all she could really get in trouble with. So you pick out a few things, and we go to checkout. And I hear the girl behind the counter say to the people ahead of us, like, excuse me. She says, do you want to donate, round up to $14 and donate 36 cents to the zoo? And I thought, oh no, my dad's paying for this, and she's going to ask him the same thing. And so we're ringing stuff up, and it comes to, I believe it was $11.95. It was 95 cents, whatever the dollar figure was, but it was $11.95. And she says $11.95, and my dad starts taking out money. It's like, oh, good. Maybe she won't ask for us to donate a nickel, because maybe they have like a cutoff. Like if it's 25 cents or below a quarter, maybe they don't ask. And so my dad hands her money, and she says, oh, by the way, would you like to round up to $12 and donate a nickel to the zoo? And my dad says, no. And he went on to say it's not the cost of, or it's not the amount of money, but it's on principle. And the girl just says, okay. And now, okay, I don't donate to every cause that comes along either. But in that instance, I think it would be well worth a nickel to convince, to not, to like make someone think that we weren't crazy. Because my dad went into it with like he would have kept talking if she kept talking about it. And luckily, she's just like me when dealing with people like that, where she just glossed right over it and she's okay. Like my dad said it like she was the one that came up with the idea to ask people for the extra money. And but yeah, she just glossed right over it and we all went on with our day. So that, yeah, it would have cost a nickel for that girl to not think we were crazy, but whatever. So we leave. And there's this park across the street that my nephew had wanted to go to, so we go over there for a while. And there's other little kids there and parents, and my niece is running up these stairs to a slide and then going down the slide and going in circles, going crazy, which I don't know where all that energy came from, seeing as she was just laying on the ground of the bear exhibit, but she's running around this playground, and we get to a point where there's this other little girl that's maybe half my niece's age. She was pretty little, and she was going down the slide. Her mom was waiting at the end, but the girl was only 2/3 of the way down the slide and was just kind of sitting there. My niece was at the top of the slide and was about to just fly down it. I was like, no, wait. You see there's a little girl in front of you, right? Yeah, wait your turn. And she looked at me, and I was like, oh, we're having a silent conversation here, we've got an understanding. She looked at me like, but she's going really slow. Like, really slow. And I looked back at her with a face that was like, I know, but just give her a second. It's okay. And my niece gave me a look that I thought meant, I understand. But apparently, the look she gave me actually meant, I don't know how to have silent conversations yet. Because then she just went barreling down the slide behind this little girl, and I was able to like reach out and catch my niece so she didn't run into her. And she was a little bit upset with that. For one thing, she thought she was in trouble, which she wasn't, but I don't know, I maybe made an exclaim noise of like, ah! And I caught her before she ran into her. So I don't know, I pushed her on the swing a bit to cheer her up, and I pushed her a little too much and she fell off. So what can I say? I'm a bad uncle. But that was our trip to the zoo. And yeah, this was just dipping my toe in the water of podcasting again. I apologize for any feedback or weird noises you may have. I'm sitting on, I have this tub chair in my room next to my bed. I don't have a desk in here. I have a dining room table, but there is a small dog. Well, not small dog, but there's a 10-month-old puppy that likes to be loud sometimes, and he is right next to a dining room table, so I thought I'd come up here so as not to rile him up. But yeah, I've got a new laptop that I haven't recorded on yet, so I don't even know if I'll be able to post this. And I figured out that if the mic, it probably sounds different because I set the mic back down, but if I hold it, then it sounds like this. However, you get a lot of bumpities every time I move, so I'll have to figure something else out. By the way, does anyone know how to remove white dog hair from, I don't know, positively everything you own? It's gotten on everything, and I don't know what to do about it. He's not that big of a dog. It's not like we have a cow in here. He's I don't know, like 2 feet tall and 3 feet long, and he's never even in my room, but I got white dog hair in my room. I don't know what to do. Yeah, anyway, I don't really have anything else to talk about right now, so I always make these hollow promises that coming back. I don't know. If you want quality, you're at the wrong podcast. That's why the sound keeps moving, and I'm unreliable. What can I say? But thanks for listening. I can't even sign off properly. Have a good day. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.